not knowing anything at all about business, I started making tons of money. So I bought tons of cool toys, not having insurance, not saving any money, not doing it right. So that didn't last very long.
Welcome back to the Skid Steer Nation podcast, where we dive deep into the world of excavation and land services. As always, I am your host, Ryan Deemer. And today we have the pleasure of welcoming Jason Hartwell. He's the driving force behind DBI Outdoor Solutions. Jason's journey into the industry is one of resilience and adaptability. With a background in owning a construction company and years of experience under his belt, he's no stranger to the challenges and triumphs of the trade. From the early days of running a self-employed business to his current venture with DBI, Jason brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table. His focus on customer service, coupled with a keen eye for industry trends, sets him apart in the field. We're going to be diving deep into Jason's insights on the future of equipment trends, the importance of strong customer relationships, and the valuable lessons he's learned along the way. But before I introduce Jason, I want to take just a moment and remind all of you that Skid Steer Nation is your one-stop shop if you're in need of top-notch skid steer attachments. From land leveling to brush clearing, we offer a wide range of attachments designed to streamline your workflow and boost efficiency. Go visit skidsteernation.com today and revolutionize the way you work. And are you tired of working endless hours without seeing the results you desire? It's time to level up your business with groundbreaking growth. Our exclusive coaching program is designed to help excavation and land service professionals like you break through to the next level of profit and efficiencies. Visit groundbreakinggrowth.com to learn more and schedule your free strategy session today. Now, let's welcome Jason from DBI Outdoor Solutions. Jason, how are you today?
Thank you, sir. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to talk with you. It's not every day you see people that transition from construction business ownership into excavation and in the land services. So what got you down this path when you got started?
Well, my dad has always done excavation and heavy equipment work. So I grew up around all the equipment. From the time I was old enough to reach controls on machines, I was able to play on it. He'd just tell me, if you dig a hole, fill it in. So, I kind of grew up doing that. And throughout the years, I worked with him on his jobs quite a bit and was always in and out of it. But I realized real quick that having a timesheet and working 9 to 5, Monday through Friday is not for me. So I moved on from that. And, because as a laborer, you can make some pretty decent money, but not the goals I had in mind. I couldn't get there as a helper. So I moved on and I started a construction company, if you want to call it that. I pretty much bought an F-250, slapped a lot of stickers on it, and put up a Craigslist post. And all of a sudden, I'm in business. So not knowing anything at all about business, I started making tons of money. So I bought tons of cool toys, not having insurance, not saving any money, not doing it right. So that didn't last very long. Then I met some folks and kind of fell in the right path with hanging out with the right people and got a partner. And here we are, rocking and rolling, DBI.
It's amazing how life changes when you start hanging around the right people.
Exactly. I heard something a long time ago. It said, hang around with 5 crackheads and you'll become the 6th. You hang around with 5 millionaires, that same path is in front of you.
Yeah, you'll become the 6th. Yeah. I've always heard is you're the sum of the 5 people you spend your time with.
That makes sense too, for sure.
So yeah, if you don't like if you don't like the trajectory of your current life, like take a close look and audit at you and your surrounding friends, and you might have to cut some people out.
Exactly. Yeah, and those people will migrate out. They'll find their way out.
I know, but Jason, there's always that one deadbeat high school friend that always just keeps grabbing onto your coattails, and you feel bad because you've been friends with them since you were 12, and you just don't know how to cut them out.
I've got one of those. He's a great friend when he doesn't have a girlfriend, but luckily he cycles through those pretty quick. So, he cycles in and out of here pretty quick too.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. So when did DBI start? Like how long ago did this particular business take off for you?
So we've been in business about 2 years now, and man, the transition's been crazy. So we started out as a tractor service. That was our original name, was DBI Tractor Services. And we bought a 55 horsepower Coyote tractor with a land plane, a bush hog, a grapple, and a landscape rake. And we were just going to do bush hog work. It was just something kind of to stay busy. And then my partner, his wife, was fixing up a rental house. So we decided we would do the driveway since we own this tractor now. And we ordered some 57 stone from the local concrete plant, and kind of dumped it out, pretending like we knew what we were doing. And it turned out awesome. So I threw a post up on Facebook and we got some calls, and all of a sudden our t-shirts say driveway guys. So, that's kind of where we went, and we leaned real heavy into, and we still do a ton of driveways. But now we do a whole lot more than that.
Well, I saw that you're actually bringing your construction background into this business because you guys are offering steel buildings where you do soup to nuts, like the ground prep, the site prep, gravel, concrete, building construction, and all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started out, like I said, driveways. And with that, of course, we got the calls for concrete. So we started dabbling in concrete, calling in subs where we're just doing the site prep. We're doing the grading and getting it ready. So we're subbing out the concrete. And before too long, we ended up getting I call it a steady sub. He's not an employee of ours, but him and his crew, they handle all of our concrete work. So we started selling concrete jobs. And by doing that, we don't really mark up his labor at all. We use that as an avenue for us to get the prep work as far as the clearing, the grading, the hauling, whatever needs to be done. And the steel building is just one of those things that came along with it. And we started seeing posts on Facebook for steel buildings for sale. And, it's this big catchy ad that says, 50 by whatever for $6,000, just this crazy, ridiculous price. Well, that's just the steel. And we're noticing there's 500 comments and all of them are complaining. Well, that's without concrete. What about with concrete? So that light bulb went off. We already do the site work. We're already pouring pads. Why not sell a building to put on it? So here we go.
Yeah. I'm a huge believer in like finding that niche and just digging deeper into it. So, the nice thing about the driveway repair work from where I sit, it's the same customers that need the site prep for those buildings. So you're just selling more services to the same people.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of our business is repeat business at this point. I mean, it's almost 50-50. So, we like to treat our customers like their family. We always say if we do a job on someone's property and we pull off, we want to be happy to have that project on our own property. So, when we leave a customer, they've got a guy now. If they need any kind of service that we offer, they don't shop around. They know that they can call us. We'll take care of them. And they're just going to be a customer for life.
Yeah. So let's talk about customer service. Cause like you pounded that home on some of those questions we asked before you come on the show. And I am in the same belief as you that, customer communication, customer service, and relationship building can make or break any business.
Absolutely. And I love it. I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. And a lot of the customers that we have, I end up making friends with them. Sometimes too much. I'll catch myself on the job site and, I'm supposed to be doing this or that, but I'm just chit chatting, just cutting up with whoever. But I'm personal friends with them on Facebook, at least I'd say 90% of them. And I had a guy last week. We did a project for him last summer. He texted just to see how we were, just you guys popped up on Facebook. How you doing? How's the family? And, it's a good feeling when we can leave someone and know that they trust us enough to call us back for work, but they also, they're curious as to how we're doing.
Yeah. So, obviously caring and being genuine is what we're discussing right now. But do you what do you always make sure that you do with every customer so that they all have a wonderful experience, even if you don't connect with them on a personal level?
The customer's always right. Most of the time in my head, they're not. And I had to train myself that way. Early on, I'd almost want to argue with people because they tell me something and I know I'm right. They'd want to argue with whatever, is the sky blue or green? But instead of just going against them, I tell them they're right. I do whatever it takes to make sure that when we leave the job, they're absolutely happy. Whether I agree that the sky's green with them, whatever it takes, they're going to be happy. and we leave them wanting to call us back. That's the goal.
Yeah. That's a great goal. I mean, do you find that communication, like pre-project, during project, and post-project, is something that you guys really focus on too, to make sure that there's never any question marks and there's never any wonder about where you're at or what's going on?
Absolutely. All the way from the time we show up to do an estimate, we're very detailed as far as what our plans are. When we send the estimate, we don't have the fancy software that tells you this many tons, this many hours. I don't even believe in all that. They want it done, and they want it done. They want that picture in their mind to match what's in their yard when we leave. And as long as we can do that, they don't care how many hours it took or how many tons of rock are on the ground. I believe I heard you say that not long ago.
Oh.
And, we're very detailed in the description, and we give them a price, and either they pay it or they don't.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I think, collecting your data, your material costs, your estimated labor hours and all that, like as a business owner, you have to know your numbers and you have to have your projections so you can operate, but you do not need to share those numbers or mark them up and share them as line items with your customers. They have a problem. They want it solved, and they want to know how much it's going to cost.
Exactly. And I've had people ask us before, I need a breakdown. How much is the material? How much is the labor? And I'll just tell them, that's not the way we do it. This is the price for the total project. If you want to adjust and add this or take off that, then I can reevaluate. But I'm not going to tell you that it's this much per hour or this much per load. That's just not the way we do it.
Yeah.
Because if we're on a job for 8 hours and we haul 6 loads or we haul 8 loads, the customer's paying for material. Our labor's staying the same. But it's not necessary for it to be broken down that way.
Well, it's a lose-lose, right? So if you say, hey, I only want to buy 8 hours of your services, and you're like, if we're not done in 8 hours, we're walking off, and you do that, all they're going to do is badmouth you for not finishing the project, even though they didn't authorize any more money by the hourly rate.
Exactly. But if we were to finish in 5, they'd want a discount.
Right.
But if it took 10, they're not going to want to pay anymore, because they're going to tell us, well, you slacked off or you didn't go as fast as you could have. There's going to be some excuse, so that it's got to work both ways.
Yeah. We transitioned a land clearing guy who did a lot of mulching work from hourly rate to project-based rate. And he was like, I go, what's the biggest 2 things you've noticed since doing this? He was like, one, my profit margin's way higher. Because people know exactly what they're going to get, and this is what they're willing to pay. It's like, I quit spending other people's money. I quit thinking I was charging too much or I wouldn't pay that. I just started offering what I thought it should be. I said, what's the second thing? He goes, the second thing? He goes, no homeowner stands at the window staring at me anymore, wondering if I'm working.
Yeah. I'm at this.
Because they don't care. They know what they're paying when it's done, and whether it takes me 2 days or a day.
Yeah. And a lot of those customers who have asked us in the past to break it down, once we tell them, I'm sorry, we don't do it that way. That's not the way we approach things. They still use us most of the time. They realize that they asked a question that we weren't able to provide the answer to, and it's still okay. You're not going to win or lose a job based on that question.
No, you're not. And that's where, especially younger business owners, you have to set your boundaries of what you will and won't do.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of time people will test those boundaries, and they sometimes just your integrity of maintaining like your commitment to project-based pricing. They go, oh, all right, he's not going to budge. That's fine. Let's go do it anyway.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. We get a lot of those calls back, where people they've told us, never mind, thanks for your time, whatever the case may be. But after they go out and they get some more quotes and get interactions with other contractors that are good or bad, whatever, a lot of them still call us back and say, okay, let's get it done.
That's awesome. Do you see this steel building like continually as a growth vertical for your business, for the years to come? Is it working out really well for you?
Well, we just started this in the past few months, and it's going very well. We still have not advertised at all as far as we put posts up on Facebook. We've not boosted or paid for any kind of ads at all for these, and we've got them pretty steady. But what we're planning to do is we've got our website in the works right now, which that's been on the table for a while, something we need to get done. And once the website gets up and running, you're going to have an option to go onto our website and design your own building. So you'll have You'll have everything at your fingertips where you can do the size, the shape, the colors. You can add and subtract windows, doors, anything you want. I mean, it's just a virtual building. And, when you get to that last little line, you can buy it through our website and it goes right to the manufacturer. We'll handle the site work and all that stuff. But the cool thing is if they've got a piece of property where the land is already level or they've already got their concrete pad, we're in South Georgia, middle South Georgia. Someone in Texas can buy a building from us and or Virginia or wherever. And the manufacturer is going to have their installers deliver it. And we'll make a small portion of a percentage, just to facilitate that sale.
Yep.
So in the long run, technology is going to provide an extra line of income, hopefully, if all goes well.
Yeah. And speaking of technology, you're seeing a big change, or you're noticing where technology is really going to hit the excavation industry sooner than later, whether it be different softwares or remote control vehicle or equipment.
Oh my goodness. Have you seen those videos where it's got the guy like in this big air conditioned office and he's in like a 3D cab of a machine?
So I live in Peoria, Illinois, man. Those machines are right down the road from me because Cat's got them all over their corporate headquarters.
Really?
In fact, there's guys in Peoria that operate the large mining trucks in all over the world. They operate them from right here, remote control.
See, that just scares me. I mean, if I could put my controls right here on this desk and I could turn this computer on and see my job site, it'd be kind of cool for a minute. But I mean, I want to be out there in it.
Yeah.
But anyone who's spent any time on an excavator, there's going to come a point where your load's just a little too heavy, and you're hitting that tipping point, or you hit something underground, a pipe. You can feel if you hit something underground, you can feel it in your joysticks. But I don't know if that would translate the same virtually.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't know if you'll ever see it in the smaller equipment like this. When they explain it to me why they do it in the mining trucks, it starts to make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, a maintenance schedule on a $10 million dump truck, it's not like you going out and changing the oil on the skid steer and being done in an hour and a half.
Right.
So when they can say, hey, if we lower the speed by 1 mile per hour, we take these turns slightly different, we get 7% more wear out of the tires. So you're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in savings and efficiencies with that large equipment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what if it rains though? Is that dump truck got traction control where it can stop before it spins the tires and slides off a cliff?
Well, I don't know, man. But I mean, when you weigh hundreds of tons or thousands of tons, I don't know how much you're slipping.
Yeah, that's true.
But I've seen like Bobcat, they've got remote control skid steers now. Like you got to be on site holding the remote. But I look at that and saying I wouldn't use it every day. But man, there's some nice applications where I'm like, it's a little sketchy. I don't want to be in the machine. But we still got to get that done. It's like slope mowers. I think slope mowers are remote control. Those are a great invention for landscape companies.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're on site, and if that thing flips over and tumbles down the hill, again, it's not $100 million piece of equipment, but you go out there and flip it over and grab your controller and go back to work.
Yeah. What I think you're going to see, Jason, is I think you're going to see, and you're probably 5 years away from it, but I think you're going to start seeing artificial intelligence creep into like your grade systems and your laser systems and GPS systems. And after you strike your numbers and your depths and all that, the machine and you kind of work together to make sure it's 100% dead nuts accurate.
I'm not mad at that. Anything to help grade.
Yeah.
We're looking at maybe getting some GPS stuff, in the next couple of years. That's a humongous investment. But I mean, in the long run, that versus a guy walking in front of you with a grade rod, that could be worth it.
So the guys I talk to that invest the big money in, whether it be the GPS and laser systems and grade right systems, and even like the couplers for their excavators for the 360 spin, they notice drastic efficiencies where they're able to do a lot more work with fewer employees.
Mm-hmm.
What they found out after having that equipment for a while is it made their employees, the retention substantially higher. Because if you give a guy, an operator, that awesome GPS grade control system, he doesn't want to go work for the company and go back to with the guy with the rod and walking up and down the yard. So like they get used to it. That becomes the normal. So they stick around longer.
Yeah, that makes sense. That completely makes sense.
Yeah. So now you're doing less training, less overhead, less HR, all because you're empowering them with more technology and more education.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's money. It's money too. All that stuff's expensive. And it's one of those things, when is it worth it? Obviously there's where it is always, but at what point makes it worth it to go from the grade rod to the laser?
Yeah.
The GPS guided, or like you said, even the in cab stuff where it just clamps on your bucket. That stuff's even expensive.
It's very expensive. It is. And I mean, I don't know. I think it's different for everybody when it's right.
Yeah.
Like we interviewed Russell Furr, and he does septic systems, and he spent a ton of money on all that in-cab grade right system. Mm-hmm. But he's a one-man show. Like that dude gets in and out of the cab 20 times a day, setting septic tanks by himself. So to him, it was way cheaper than hiring an employee for 6 months.
Oh, for sure. Wow, septic solo.
So I about fell over when he told me that.
Yeah, that seems like at least a 2-man job.
Minimum. Yeah.
We've got a lot of calls for septic. That's just something that we refuse to do.
Yeah.
It's just gross. We'll set a brand new system that's never had any poo in it, but
but I'm not doing any repairs.
That's it. We're out of there.
Yeah. I think that's smart. Like I think a lot of guys need to take that lesson and just stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Get really good at a couple things and just double down and triple down on that, and don't mess with the outside noise of septic systems or whatever else.
Yeah. And that's what we try to do is, we've transitioned a lot. Like I said, from wanting to be a bush hog guy to now we're doing steel buildings. It's always been changing. And it could change again, but we've got to find that gap in the market to where we fit in. There's a demand, we're good at it, and we got to find it and get in there and stick with it. And, we're looking forward to what the future has in store for us.
I think every business, you can't be locked into your services or your offerings. Like you've got to be able to be flexible to maneuver with the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the most important thing, and I had to learn this the hard way over and over when I was younger, like today, I will not look at any opportunities if it doesn't serve the same audience that Skid Steer Nation serves. Like I don't want to have to go out and retrain or re-educate agriculture or some other industry.
Right.
So to me, everything I look at doing is, so for you guys, I always say, hey, if your core customer is residential homeowners with home values of 350 to 700,000, what else can you do for them?
Right.
Like stay with that audience. Don't go spread out and start doing subcontractor commercial work and then field tile repair for agriculture. Cause now you got 4 different audiences that you're juggling and you don't know how to market to them. And how do you get, cause the guy in the neighborhood doesn't talk to the farmer in the field. So now you've got 4 different balls you're juggling, trying to maintain work instead of being able to dial in on one audience. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. And we've explored so many options and we've gotten deep into some of them where it's like, hey, let's get into this. Let's get into that. Hydroseeding. We were looking into buying a $40,000 rig. And then we realized like, hey, there's already enough people around here doing this to where, how long is it going to take us to recoup that 40 grand? And the time that we're going to have to take off of what we're already doing to go run that rig, it'd be a long time before it paid off.
Yeah. I think that's great. You got to do cost analysis before you guys buy equipment. I mean, I see it all the time. Guys are like, I can't do demolition work without an excavator. And I'm like, well, how many demo jobs do you have lined up? And they're like, well, none. I can't get it without the I'm like, well, you can get the bid.
Yeah, you can rent until you can, prove the concept.
I'm like, don't go buy equipment and spend 50, 80, 100 grand, 200 grand to go hopefully get work, go get the work, then spend the money.
Exactly. So we still rent half of our equipment. We own obviously the little Coyote tractor, 55 horse. It's a good machine and it's got its place for driveways with the box blade 100%. I mean, it's hard to replace it. We've got the hydraulic top link on there to where we can adjust it, from the seat, and it makes a huge difference. And we bought a mini excavator last year. We still rent a roller and a skid steer, and the next step is to buy a skid. That's what we're looking at doing in the near future. But if we were to go out and finance all these things from day one, we may not still be in business,
right?
And luckily I got very lucky with my business partner. So I had the background in doing this kind of work and knowing how to operate the equipment, but I wanted to learn business. I've always been fascinated by, the gurus who say, let's do this, let's do that, and the formulas and the compound and all this and that. My business partner is that guy. And when it comes to money and just what it takes to actually run a business properly, he is a genius with that. I mean, he knows all the ins and outs. I mean, he impresses me all the time, but he wanted to know how to run the equipment, and I feel like I've kind of naturally learned a lot of this business stuff and I've gotten pretty good at it. And he can hop in a skid now and just run it all day. I mean, we were on a job today and everything came out within a half an inch of grade, just him back dragging and pushing with the skid steer all day. And I mean, he picked it up quick. I'm picking it up quick. So, it's a blessing for sure.
Match made in heaven, man.
That's right.
Yeah. I love it. It. So what areas of business do you think you've learned the most from him, or that you've really grown this last year having him as your partner?
Well, for example, insurance. I mean, like I said, I had a construction company before with no insurance. I just figured, hey, if I don't screw up, I'm good, but everything's got to be insured. I would have never, thought in a million years that you get business insurance. That's cool. But then you got to have insurance on all the trucks and the trailers and the equipment separately. And, this policy for comprehensive and liability. And there's so much, I would have never imagined. So now when I go to thinking about things, I don't just look at, okay, well, we got to buy a skid. What's the payment going to be? I'm thinking, what's the payment going to be? What's the insurance going to be? How many hours does this thing need to be on a job to pay for itself? At what point do we break even? And then when do we start making money?
Yeah. So there's a lot of, I mean, it sounds like you and your partner can figure this out on your own, but Case Construction has a calculator called the Case Total Cost of Ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go into this website and it doesn't have to be a Case, but just pick the Case machine that's similar in horsepower to yours, right? You can start putting in your amortization of the loan, the hours, the labor cost, the overhead cost, the maintenance cost, and it'll start kicking out what your hourly operating cost is for that machine based on your note, your mortgage, your payments. And I mean, it gets you close because it's not your actual machine, but it's a great starting point for you. You guys are out there trying to figure out what your total cost of operating a machine is and what your break-even point is. This calculator is just a cheap, quick, easy way to get you in the ballpark.
Yeah. Say a couple of years ago, I'd have thought when you told me all that, like, man, that sounds like something a real dork would check out. But now I think it'd be fun just to go punch in some numbers and see what pops out,
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is interesting to me now.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you've got a payment versus the guy down the street that doesn't, I mean, you're going to have to charge maybe $60 more an hour to break even. You hope to God he doesn't sell himself short and ruin the market. But your break even points are way different.
Oh, absolutely. We quoted a pond job, just a few weeks ago, and we've got the mini excavator and we've got the tractor, skid steer and roller. I kind of consider them ours. They're on rent, but they're on extremely long-term rent. I mean, the roller we've had for like a year and a half now, and the skid just stays here. But, we had to rent a dozer and a full-size track hoe, for that job. And we're in almost $40,000 just in rental. And we haven't heard back from that customer. And a large probability is they found someone who owns that equipment. If we own the equipment, we wouldn't have to charge near that price.
Right. But you don't do enough of those jobs to justify owning it.
Oh, heck no. No.
So again, it goes back to staying in your lane, do the work with the equipment you have, and grow organically and naturally.
Exactly. And pond work, that sounds fun. I mean, my happy place is in an excavator. I love it. I mean, it's the piece of equipment that I love running the most. And to get out on and just, dig the hole and load trucks and move dirt, that sounds like a blast. But, we've gotten 1.5 calls, I'll call it. We got a request to do a pond when we're on a job for something else. But an actual phone call to do a pond, 1 call in 2 years, that's not worth going to Dozier.
There's not enough market in your area for it.
No, there's absolutely not. I mean, there's farm ponds all over the place around here, but as far as people building new ponds, there's a couple guys that are already doing it, and they kind of got the market cornered already. So it's just not our lane.
And I'll tell you what, like there are a couple of guys around here that are friends of mine that did excavation, and they were their focus was going to be ponds and septic systems. They did ponds for 1 year, and they kept bringing an expert out that's retired that did a ton of ponds when he owned his business. And they're all like, man, I had no idea there was this much to pond construction. Like if you don't do them regularly, it's very high probability you're going to have a leak here, or this doesn't work right, or you get some seepage somewhere because you forget something along the way, and that's not cheap to fix.
No, especially not if you've already got water in it.
Right. So now they just do septics only. They got rid of anything else, and they only do septics.
Yeah. Well, there's good money in that. There's definitely good money in it, but it's just it's a smell that I don't want to come home with.
No, but again, it's more to the fact that stay in your lane, right? Like, so if you guys continue to do steel building, site prep, and driveway, there's no reason you can't triple your business in a shorter amount of time than trying to add 3 new services that were spread out across the board.
Yeah, for sure. And we're getting ready in the next couple of weeks to launch a Facebook. We're going to call it like an ad campaign. We're going to pay some money, to boost some stuff on Facebook. We've boosted a couple of posts for driveways in the past, spent $100 or something like that. And we've gotten some calls from it for sure. 1 call, if we invest $100, 1 phone call and closing a deal is worth it. But, these buildings, they're a lot more money. So it's going to a higher level of clientele. So we're going to spend a little more money on this. And again, if 1 building pays off, it's going to be worth it. But it's a marketing risk, so we're trying to make sure that we've got the post dialed in exactly. It's going to be catchy. It's going to have the right verbiage, but not too many words, the right colors, the right contrast. And it's a whole nother thing with business that could be a job in itself.
It is a job in itself. Like to do marketing right. That's why I tell everybody, I'm like, get to a certain level and then hire it out.
Right. Yeah,
because you're not a marketing expert and they're not excavation experts. So,
right. Yeah, we're paying for the website design. We kind of toyed around with the idea, like, let's just get a GoDaddy thing and, put it out there. But if you've got a bad website, it's a bad look, I think. And we're not website people,
Right.
So we're going to spend the money. And again, we'll have that link to the building purchase on there, and the design your own. So that's going to draw traffic in itself, I hope.
Yep.
And
so I just worked with one of our students in Groundbreaking Growth, and he was been building his own GoDaddy website. And I spent like an hour with him on his GoDaddy website. And I was fixing a few things, and I was like, Jed, let's be honest. Like, this is never going to look the way you want it to look. Like, you're not a website developer, and I have no idea how to use GoDaddy Web Builder. So what we did was I actually said, hey, let's go use ChatGTP. Input all this information about your business, who you are, the values, the foundations, your mission statement, the people you want to work with, the types of services you want to do. And then let's start building out the written content for the homepage, the About Us page, the Contact Us page, the 4 services that you want to have on the website. And then we started writing out all that copy and content for each one of those pages. And then we got a little technical, like now let's write the meta titles, meta descriptions, and all this stuff for the website pages. And we just built a spreadsheet with all this information in it. And I was like, now go take this and a folder of images that you want on your website and go hire a freelancer on Fiverr.com. And because you're this organized, they'll have it done in a week. And you'll have 1 or 2 revisions instead of 20 revisions. And you'll be up and running for a fraction of time and just a little bit of money.
Right. Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it to spend the money, on the things you don't know, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, our company logo, we paid someone, I think it was Fiverr, to design that. We got it close. But when it comes to getting it digitalized and all that kind of stuff, and it's easy,
Yep. Well, and then depends on if you're using Facebook, it needs to be square formatted. If you're using this, it needs to be vertical. And then if you want to do a banner ad, so like you've got to have somebody that can modify and change all that. So like when you can buy that package from a freelancer and say, hey, here's your logo, here's the social media logos, these, and you've just got a folder of different variations of it. Like it just makes life so much easier.
Right. Yeah. And I've kind of gotten a little bit better at working with that kind of stuff. There's some apps on the computer where you can go in and you can just tell it what you want it to do. Like take this picture and make it the size of a Facebook cover photo. But I learned pretty quick that there's only so many of those that you can try for free. So after you get it wrong and you want to adjust it, then you got to pay for it. And they're not expensive, $20 or something. But how many more times am I going to use it?
Right.
It's cheaper just to pay someone who already has it, knows what they're doing, and can just email it right back to you.
Yeah. No, there's a lot to be said about just finding some good strategic partners, whether it be in like website development, copywriting, advertising, branding, because, we can't do it all. Like we can't grow a business. It takes a village to raise a kid. It takes a village to build a business.
It absolutely does. Yeah. So right now we're at the point where it's just me and my partner. We work just the two of us on every job. And we're getting busy enough to where we're starting to have to separate. I'm on one job, he's on another. And in doing that, we're kind of crossing paths in the middle because he'll need to be somewhere with the skid for a little while. And I'm somewhere else with the mini. But now I've got to take the mini to this job. He's got to come here with the skid. So we're looking at hiring someone. But it's those times when we're real busy. That's when I think, okay, we need to hire a guy. I just need one guy that's a helper, has a little experience that I can train. But then once we get on the job, I start looking around and I'm like, okay, if I had a helper here, what's she going to do? Because we've got just this motion of getting everything done. It's hard for me in my head to picture where a helper fits in. And I know one day it's going to have to happen. Hopefully, if everything goes right, we'll have a whole team. But, that's another scary step.
So if your partner's out in the field doing work with you, is he doing that like 5 days a week with you, like whenever the weather's permitting?
Oh, yeah.
So like I'm a big proponent. We call it the replacement ladder, but like there's strategic people you hire. And like your first hire should be like an admin assistant / office person. Like there's no reason you should be calling to follow up with checks or to schedule material, or like if you could free your mind space of all that and just focus on doing the work. And even if you got to run into a little trouble where you're bouncing back and forth with machines, but you guys would be able to save an enormous amount of hours and stress and thoughts by getting somebody in there to help with doing some organizing, scheduling, customer communication, managing emails, phone calls. It sounds silly, but it's everyone that makes that hire first who's like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine doing that while training a guy in the field.
Right. Well, my first hire that I would love to do is I'd love to fire my partner. That'd be ideal. To just go back to the office and do what he is good at,
right.
But he loves being in the field too.
Yeah.
And, we both know there's going to come a point to where he's going to have to be in the office. I'm going to have to be on the road because I do 90% of the estimates. I write the quotes up. So we've both got our own plan behind the scenes, but on the job site, we're both eventually going to get phased out.
Yeah.
But
and
who goes first type situation.
Absolutely. So we always tell people like, hey, get that assistant to help you run your business. If you can hire someone for 12, 15, $18 an hour and you're busy enough, that's not worth your time. Like your time's way more valuable than $15 an hour. So
Absolutely.
stop spending 20 hours a week doing $15 an hour tasks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we hire that person. Then we look at getting an outsourced person to help you with your marketing, whether it be an agency, a family friend, somebody. Depends what level you need to go that way. And then we start looking at somebody to help you in the field. But again, like your estimating and sales are the last people you hire because as an owner, nobody's going to sell a job better than you.
Right. Yeah. And I can't imagine a situation to where I could send someone out to bid a job, because it goes all the way back to customer relations. I want to meet the customer. I want to be the face that they know. And if there's a problem, they're not going to call the guy that bid it. They're going to call me anyway.
Right.
So I'm going to have to stick with that duty for quite a while. But I like that part of it.
Yeah, I tried handing off some sales calls for Skid Steer Nation when guys call in for attachments, and it's okay. But every time that there gets a little hiccup in it and they bring me in or have me call the guy and I'm like, yeah, I own the company. Like it's a whole different conversation. And it's a good reminder that it's the last job I'll be doing, but before I
Yeah.
remove myself from it.
Yeah. Yeah. It changes.
You just think about it, man. Like even you, like I'm sure customers, when you say, yeah, I own the business, like they go, oh, it's like a different approach. Like, oh, I got the guy. Like he's the owner.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, in the beginning, I would almost let people know ahead of time, like, hey, my name is Jason. I'm the owner of DBI. Now I just say, hey, I'm Jason, or I'm with DBI. If they ask me if I'm the owner, I'll tell them yes. But I kind of realized that people do look at you a little different when you own the business as far as estimating goes. Because if someone's going to be able to throw out a discount, who's that? Right? It's going to be the owner. And, if I'm just the guy doing the estimates, like, hey, Miss Jones, here's your price. This is what it is. You don't get hit so hard with that. Well, is that the best you can do?
Yeah.
And we try to give the best prices to everyone up front. We don't mark up materials. We've got a set rate that we charge. We know what our day's worth. So we charge that rate. And we get questions sometimes, do you do military discounts? And a lot of times, especially on smaller jobs, we can't. We've already given the best price that we can. If it's a $20,000 job, we can knock a few $100 off. But we're trying to do the best that we can right off the bat for everybody. We appreciate the military and everywhere else. Just like the rest of the world. But we're giving everyone that same rate.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, kudos to the customers for asking for a discount, because if you don't know if you don't ask.
Right.
But at the same point, like stick to your guns, stick to your price, and be like, no, we don't price it so that we can give discounts.
Exactly.
And I appreciate your service and thank you very much for serving. But like we're dialed in with you, with Mrs. Jones and Mr. Adams, and we have our overhead numbers, our profit. We need to be successful to grow our business, and otherwise, this is how we price our jobs.
Right. Yeah, and some people, they will walk over a couple $100. We could tell somebody $5,000, but sorry, we don't have a military discount. There's people out there that'll go pay $6,000 and get a $500 discount just because they gave them a discount. They're still paying more.
Yeah. But again, man, I'm telling you right now, Jason, the day I realized the 80-20 rule, which is where 80% of your profits comes from the top 20% of your customers, and 80% of your headaches comes from the bottom 20% of your customers. It's a lot easier to walk away from people when you're like, man, he's going to be a headache. I'm glad that he didn't take that discount. I don't do that discount because I don't want to work with him. He's going to be bitching about this, and I don't hear what bother me while I'm working, and want me to come fix this in a week. And, like sometimes it's a distraction to actually take every customer.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We've been in business right at 2 years now, and we ran across our first just straight royal pain in the butt just a couple weeks ago. And I mean, he was just one of those guys that was not going to be happy no matter what.
Yeah.
He just wasn't going to be satisfied. But we were finally able to, get him close enough to where we didn't have to worry about negative reviews or anything like that. He got what he wanted. We got what we wanted, which was off of his job site. But, we got paid. He got what he was looking for, and it was a good day. But, you're going to have those kind of people. You're just going to.
You absolutely are, man. Geez, I don't even know where we go from there. Like, we've covered a ton of topics. I want to keep going, though. I just don't know what to talk about. You've got me at a loss, Jay. It's very rare.
Hey, I'm here to win.
I usually ramble forever, and I get the old look like this from the wife going, get off the phone. We got plans, or get off
through here somewhere. Went outside, I think. We're having some rough weather down here, man. It's been hard. We got prepping a 30 by 50 pad about an hour and 20 minutes away from here. We lost the first 2 days of the week to rain. And then, after 2 days of shutdown, every dump truck driver in a 500-mile radius is backed up. So we're trying to find dirt. We finally got it all in today and got everything graded out. As soon as we got it graded out and slick, here comes the rain again. And Georgia red clay, when it gets a drop of water on it, you can't do nothing with it. I mean, it turns into bubble gum.
Yeah.
So it's we're hoping for a little bit better weather next week.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it seems that I can't believe everybody I talked to these last 10 days, doesn't matter where they're at in the United States, it's been raining.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just that time of year. I mean, we get it. Where are you at?
I'm in Illinois.
Yeah, you told me that. Okay. Illinois. So that's one time zone back. You guys are closer up towards the Tornado Alley type weather, huh?
Yeah. So we get a few tornadoes through here, but I mean, Indiana, Ohio, Missouri, Kansas, they'll get more tornadoes than we do here. But
yeah,
so we're 2.5 hours south of Chicago and 2.5 hours north of St. Louis.
Okay, cool.
So
yeah,
we get the humidity like you guys do down there in Georgia, and I don't like it.
No, it's rough. It's rough. Last year we had, I think it was 20 something days in a row to where the humidity, the heat index was over 120 degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dangerous out there.
And there's nothing worse than walking outside and it feels like you're literally walking through jello because the air is so thick. It's gross.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets rough for sure.
Yeah. Like you want to shower 5 minutes after you get out of the shower because you just feel it. You're like,
yeah. Well, I got, my wife came in too. I don't know how long we've been going. I'm down to go as long as you want.
Oh man, we've been going for about an hour now. We're good to go. I mean, I love it. We talked about culture of your company, staying in your lane, dialing in your services, knowing who you are, getting really, really good at that. Always being able to be adaptable to those services with the changing in the times and what your customers' needs are. We talked about how you're going to be running your skid steer from your underwear in your recliner in 2 years.
All goes well.
Oh man. Yeah, I think we've covered a lot of great topics. And I think if you're listening to this and you're struggling with business, there's some good advice that, from figuring out your cost and dialing that in to staying in your lane, knowing who you are, treating the customer like it was, your everything and making sure that they're as happy before you leave. Swallow a little pride.
Yeah. And if you want to be successful, you've got to get you a good woman, because if you've got one of those that doesn't support what you do,
that's
you're not going to have time to run a business. You can be in the field 9 to 5, but when you get home, you're not off work. If you own a business, you're just not. And, if you don't have someone at home to support that, it'll never work.
Yep. I find that the guys that are most successful, and I don't mean that in a financial level, just in like life and their business, they're happy, they're where they want to be, are the same guys that are able and willing and do talk to their wife at dinner about their business. Good, bad,
absolutely.
and ugly. Not just the good, but the bad and the ugly too.
My wife's the only one that knows the bad for the most part, because, everyone else just needs to know, hey, we're doing good. But without a wife there, you can't hold all that bad in forever. You'll blow up from the inside out.
100%, man. 100%.
Lord, you're good to go.
They make a big difference.
Yeah, they
do. They do. So what's the plan for DBI in the next 2-3 years? Like, where do you see it going?
Hopefully the metal building thing takes off. We would love to we don't have a yard. So, most construction companies, they've got a lay down yard where you can store your extra materials, whatever. We've got my yard. Luckily I live kind of in the woods to where the side of the road is part of my yard as well. And we've got my partner, his yard. We're using our houses for storage. And to have an office space with the lay down yard to where we can completely separate that, to where I'm at the office and then when I get home, I'm off work, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
But it's going to take, some big moves to get there. It's nothing we're in a hurry for. We just want it to happen eventually.
Tell you what, we talked to a guy out in the Carolinas a while ago, and his theory on the building of why he bought that specific building made a lot of sense. I'd like to share it with you if you're willing.
Oh, cool.
Spend a little more, get a building in a great location with a lot of drive-by traffic, and then brand the bejesus out of that building, because it's like buying a billboard that you don't have to pay for.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
He says he gets more calls off the side. His building just says Carolina Dozer, yellow and black with a phone number. And he's like, I get more phone calls from people driving by our building because they're near a busy interstate road or intrastate. And he goes, it's better than buying a billboard.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that's what we need to look at. We just need the property, though. I know a guy that can fix us up with a good steel building. So
yeah, I think I do too. Let me know, I'll give you his number.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we've actually got a friend of ours that owns a fencing company, and he's got a building on a main road here in town, and we're looking at putting up a steel building on his property at cost. Just in trade for us to put a banner up on it. It's who put the building up, because it's going to get tons of traffic.
Yeah, exactly. It's smart. It's a good investment, especially if you can do it for a little time and labor and break even.
I mean, we brand the crap out of everything. I mean, we've got logos on T-shirts, hats, trucks, trailers. The equipment's got logos on it. Our Mini X is a Doosan, and as soon as we bought it, we ripped everything on it that said Doosan off, and it's got DBI logos that are the same shape as the Doosan. But it's the DBI logo.
It's smart, man. And branding goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dale up in Michigan, he branded his truck really nice, not over the top, and his machine. And he actually had a utility company stop him at a job site and see if he'd be interested in bidding right away clearing. Because of they saw his branding on his equipment and it looked nice and clean. And so they stopped and asked. So you never know what branding can do for your business or who's driving by and sees it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we try to get our phone number, name, address. We've got yard signs all over the place. There's like a little yard sign war down here, because we'll put them out and they'll get stolen, and we'll put them somewhere else. They get stolen. We don't do that. Once we put it out, someone else will steal ours and put theirs in place. That's fine. We don't play that kind of childish game. But, some of those people feel like they've got to destroy others to win, but I know
if they would just learn that a rising tide raises all ships, we'd all be in a better place, man.
Yeah, it's a buffet. There's plenty for all of us.
100%.
We just got to place in line.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Jace, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show today, being a part of it, sharing your story, your journey. And I really enjoyed sitting here just chatting with you.
Well, cool, man. I appreciate you having me on here. It's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's anything else we could do for you ever in the future, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to assist and help in any way or make connections. So,
yeah, I'll probably be reaching out to you about one of those Hydra buckets before too long. Those are pretty cool.
Man, they're a hot item this year. I've taken a lot of calls about them. I actually own one. I've had it for 4 years and I love it.
So do you guys just do skid steer attachments? Nothing for minis or anything?
We've got some mini attachments that we need to get listed on the website. So some of our manufacturers that we partner with do make some stuff for mini excavators and mini skid steers. I personally have just not put them on the website because I wanted to stay focused on skid steers. But if you need something, just call me. I can help you out.
I need a tilting grading bucket.
For a mini X?
Yes, sir.
Yep, we can get that.
Yeah, if you run across one of those.
Well, you have to have it. We'd have to order it in the manufacturer. I think it's 30 degree tilt. Does that sound right off the top of my head?
I think so. There's a company out there that makes them, and theirs look pretty cool. But I sent the guy a message on Facebook, or the company, and it was just this guy that called me. And I was like, hey, can you email me an order form or anything like that? He's like, no, just call me with your card number. It sounded super sketchy. So
yeah,
we kind of left that there.
I'll see if I can't pull some specs. I think I have some from a different customer in the past. So I'll see what I can find for you and send it over.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me, man. It's been real cool.
You're welcome, man.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And listeners out there, keep chugging along, keep growing your business. It's a grind. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Keep going. If you need some help along the way, head over to groundbreakinggrowth.com. Schedule a time. Talk with me. We'll do a discovery call. We'll kind of look at your business from a holistic, big overview point, give you some tips and pointers. If you choose to work with us, fantastic. If not, you will still walk away with some action items that will make you a better business owner. Groundbreakinggrowth.com. And until next week, take care, guys.